Hey, everybody. What's up, family? Welcome to the African Ancestry Experience, where we discuss how we as Black people view ourselves and Africa. And tonight, I'm excited. If you've been following us, you've seen our next guest. She is the author of the Simon and Schuster fiction novel, Shallow Waters. And she's a spiritual psychologist who's going to learn more about the power of mitochondrial DNA as we reveal her African ancestry results. You don't want to miss this one. So stay tuned because I want to know you. Cameroon.
I wanna know ya, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya, Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia. I wanna know ya, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya, Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia. I wanna know ya, let it all hang.
Yes, Darnell, we have started. Welcome, everybody. The African Ancestry Experience is here. It's on right now. And you know, we are all about sharing identity-focused conversations with the African diaspora. So whether you're tracing your DNA and finding your roots or just exploring more about who you are, this is the place you want to be. Shout out to all our fam who's catching us on the replay. And if you are up in here as the AAOC, I want to see your fists in the comments. The AAOC, you all know who you are. That's the African Ancestry Online Community. We are over 8,000 deep now over on Facebook. And shout out to Ty, who's the manager of the AAOC, for always holding it down. There's so many different ways to get started on your African ancestry journey. And you know, all these people in the chat can tell you, Plachette's in the house, Jane, Vicky, I am Vote, Fancy. What's up, all y'all? I'm so glad to see you here. Drea, Sylvia, Amos, all of you. My girl Avanti, Zenobia's here. Zenobia said, I missed the intro music. That's okay, Zenobia. You can hear it on the replay. There's so many different ways to get started. So the most obvious one, I say it all the time, is to get the Matriclan test kit. That's because both men and women can trace their maternal ancestry. But if you're still getting to know us, if you're not quite ready to swab your cheek yet, it's cool. You can head on over to our website. We have a bunch of free tools over there. There's a Find Your Tribe quiz, and we have a library now. So it has some free resource guides, videos, essays, or blogs. So if you go over to africanancestry.com/tribe, you can get started. Now, you guys know the first new person to come on to the broadcast every night gets wins some swag. We give away swag. So tonight's giveaway is a logo mask. I know some people are going around without masks on, but there's still some instances where it makes sense, some instances where you still have to wear a mask. So shout out to who is this? Jane. Shout out to Jane for winning an African Ancestry logo mask. I'm so happy to see you all here every single week. I appreciate seeing you on the replays. Please like us, share us, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications, because if you turn on the notifications, then you're sure not to miss a single episode. And then, you know, I have to tell y'all, there's still time if you want to get in on the Sierra Leone trip. So this will be the third African Ancestry family reunion in Sierra Leone. That's coming up. The dates, it starts on April 18th. And so if you are still interested in traveling with us to the country of Sierra Leone, you are welcome, as they say when you get to Africa. You are welcome to come with us. Go on over to africanancestry.com/travel, and you can get more information about the trip. So now we're going to get to the good part. You guys remember, I was in Sierra Leone, as a matter of fact, when we met with our next guest, Anita Kopacz, and she was on with Sister Tony Love, and we had such a great conversation. It was so good that even when the power went out on my side, we were still able to keep the conversation going. So I want to see some book emojis in the comments for our guest, Anita. as she comes on the screen. I want you guys to show her some African ancestry love. And she's part of the family because she's going to find out where she's from tonight. Hey, Anita.
I'm so excited. I know you were feeling my nerves before, so I'm like really excited. I know we're not finding out right away, so I'll try to calm myself down a little.
I know I was saying, gosh, I'm so nervous. You have me nervous. Like, wait a minute, am I the one being revealed? But that's good. I appreciate the energy because this is a very important night, a very important time, a very important moment in time for you. And so I want to give it all the respect that it's due. And so my nerves are just part of it too.
Yes. I have my candle on my ancestor altar lit. And, I was actually sitting with them earlier and I was just like, I know some of you actually know who we are, right? And there's a large part of us that don't, but like, it was just really amazing to just sit with them and be like, okay, I'm going to know something more, like it's hard to even explain what I'm feeling right now, but I'm sure everyone here knows.
Put in the chat if you know what she means. Just say, yeah, I know what you mean. I want to see that in the comment. If you know what she means about that anticipation as you're waiting for your results to come or as you're getting ready to click open, or for some of you OGs, as you're getting ready to open the envelope. Zenobia says, tell her now. You all know I don't do that. You know I gotta drag it out. And Anita is such a fast. What'd you say, Anita?
I said she's on my team.
No, gotta wait because you are so incredible. And so we only got to touch on this last time you were on. First of all, let me say we're in the midst of our celebration of phenomenal Black women this month here at African Ancestry and really around the world. And you are most certainly a phenomenal Black woman. So tonight I wanted to talk about your book, Shallow Waters, which you call a love letter to Black women. And then your sister Yvonna and your cousin Leonie are in the green room. So we'll bring them in later to participate in the reveal. But Anita, so one of the things I wanted to start with was around your identity. So I'm going to ask you to fill in the blank with as much or as little description as you want. I am.
Wow, this is great because we just did this practice. So I am my mother. That's what it feels like. I am the land that she came from. I am love. I am courage. I am a mother. I am powerful. I'm intelligent. I am young and old at the same time. I'm a storyteller. I'm a lover of life, and I am sometimes a hater. Not a hater to other people, but a hater of certain experiences that I have, and then I go through my healing experiences with that.
So in fact, you're human.
I'm human. Exactly.
I love those descriptions. Wow, all those things that you just shared with us underscore the complexity and the depth of identity. And one thing you didn't say that you didn't have to say is that you're a Black woman. Do you refer to yourself as a Black woman?
I am. Yes, I am a Black woman. Yes, I do refer to myself as a Black woman.
Yeah. And so much of the time you don't even have to say that because it's clear when we look at ourselves. But I love that you call your book a love letter to Black women. And I'm curious, I'm sure you've been asked this question a million times, but if you could share with us why you felt it was important to write a love letter to Black women.
Yeah, it felt really important for me for us to remember who we really are. And it's which is exactly the work that you really do, right? Like you give tangible information on who we really are. And the book is about Yemaya, and for me, I connected with her in my early teens, and she is Nigerian Orisha and mother of the ocean, which I'm sure everyone here knows. But what I realized was that so many people did not know about African spirituality, and they demonized it if they heard anything about it. And I was so I was so attracted to the Orisha when I first learned about them. And luckily with my mom, when I would talk to her, she never demonized my experience. She would always say, everything that comes out of you is God. And so I was, encouraged to learn more and dive in, and it feels like home. And I don't, it's really interesting because I don't actually know where my people are from. So it's going to be really awesome to learn, I can actually see, what is my actual African spirituality, like what is my background, and can I connect to those spirits, I'm very excited about that.
And so when you decided excuse me, let me get my thoughts together. When you decided to focus on Yemaya, what were some of the things that drew you to her?
So the fact that she's the mother of us all, like that really drew me to her. And I also feel like a lot of it was her like coming in, and like she's so powerful, and she just came in and like gave me the story. And I was actually just talking to one of my friends about how powerful that was. She like came in with this force, gave me this story, and then kind of sat back like, you can write it or you cannot, which was really interesting because I was like, but wait, is this a trick? Because you came in like, and then you kind of stepped back. And so that was really interesting. And it's just her being such a powerful Black woman is what made me drawn to her, right? Because in so many, in anything, in any culture that is affected by the patriarchy, it's hard to find places where the Black woman is held up in such a beautiful way.
While holding up Black women, you're also holding a Goddess Wisdom Council retreat in Mexico next week. And so holding up Black women as a spiritual psychologist, that's just another natural part of what you do. Can you talk to us about that? I'm feeling a little jealous. I don't even know about it. I'm just listening to the title, and I have a little envy going on. So tell us about that.
Absolutely. I'm really excited. So the Goddess Wisdom Council, there's 5 of us, and we do retreats around the world. And this one is really special to me because I have been wanting to bring in people who wouldn't otherwise be able to afford a lavish retreat, right? People who were, and these are survivors of any kind of sexual abuse. And I bring them in with my my nonprofit, Zero F's Given. And so with the generosity of many people, we've been able to bring in 2 people who were funded by Goddess Wisdom Council, and then 2 other people who were funded by an anonymous donor. So there's 4 people on this retreat who who were able to have it gifted to them, this experience. And for me, you know, it took me so long to heal from I was sexually molested when I was 7. And it took me my whole life, basically, you know, like just a long time to heal. And the amount of money, I remember calculating how much money I spent on just healing. And it was like $500,000 over the years, right? And I was like, well, so what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, what is this? And this is off of, you know, I was just like, this needs to be, you know, accessible to everyone. And why is it that, you know, when I would go on retreats, it was all white people. I would be the brownest one there. And, you know, I'm not that brown. You know, like, I'm like, listen, there needs to be more Black women here. And what's wonderful, we do have a Black man coming to this retreat. So I'm super excited. It feels very powerful, and it also feels like an energy of coming home. Even though it's in Mexico, there's this feeling of spiritually coming home.
Well, doing that work, I think, is helping people to come home, come back to who they are. So that makes perfect sense to me. And you can feel the energy about it just as you talk about it. So thank you for doing that work for those who need it the most. I appreciate that about you. And we're talking about women. Our power as women comes from all the people who come before us, but I think we're partial to the women who come before us. At least I think you and I are. we're partial to that feminine power that we receive from our mothers, and all of that is part of our family's legacies. And so I'm excited that you brought some of your family members with you to share in this experience. So we're going to bring up your sister Yvonna and your cousin Leonie. Hello, ladies. We just met briefly offline, and I know that you're both in New York, but I understand that you have some very interesting work that you do, just like Anita has very interesting work that she does. So why don't we start with you, Yvonna? What kind of work do you do? How do you help enlighten and grow the community?
Wow. So I'm also a part of the Goddess Wisdom Council. I am the embodiment coach and yoga teacher for our retreats. And I'm also a beekeeper. I'm an actress. I've been on for the last 6 years, Law and Order, SVU. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a company called Lomar Farms. We make beeswax candles and honey. And I'm a wife and a mama. I mean, it's like somebody said in the chat, I'm every woman. And I feel like I am every woman.
Yes, you are.
And our other sister, Michelle, just said, hi, ladies. She's on here too. Hi, Michelle.
There's 7 Kopacz sisters. So let's just leave it there.
7?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, this is good. So you have 7 sisters. How many siblings does your mother have?
13?
13. Yes, 13 that were born. Yep.
And how many of those are women?
Oh my gosh, 7 women, right? No, I think there's 7 women. Yeah. 7. That's so interesting.
Okay.
Yes.
And some of those women have had children, which is how we get to Leonie, right? So Leonie, how do you fit into the family structure?
Okay, so I'm Yvonna and Anita's first cousin. So my mother and Anita and Yvonna's mom are sisters, biological sisters. Yeah, both parents. Yeah.
Okay, and are you on the council, the Goddess Council of Wisdom?
No, I'm not. I'm actually a social worker by trade. I, had my master's in social work back in the early 90s. I started out at the Children's Aid Society doing preventive work. So really always been very from since I was young, very passionate about my family, friends, people, always just concerned about the community. Our grandmother was like that. My grandma would basically take everyone in St. Kitts. If there was a concern, she was like that massive matriarch of like the whole community in Deep Bay, in St. Kitts. So that's how I knew her, like growing up. It was all about community. It was about the families that were there, not just herself, but everyone around her. So there were times when if a hurricane came and damaged someone's home, they would literally be in our home until they were able to get back on their feet.
Wow. So I'm seeing we're getting a sense of your grandmother's legacy here just from the three of you.
Yes, and I just saw another one of our cousins, Erica, is on as well.
Say Erica.
Look, they might, if all the Kopacz are, well, you're not Kopacz, if all your grandmother's descendants come on here, it's going to be a real family reunion.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have about 50 to 70, right? Cousins, first cousins.
First cousins, yep.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And I say 50 to 70, that's hilarious. It's not like 50 to 51. We don't know. 50 to 70.
20-person range. I love it. I love that. So, there she is.
Yes, this is my grandmother with me dressed up as Santa.
Oh my goodness. Look at that. Let's hold it up again.
There's Mama.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing her. So we brought her in. We got all the aunties and uncles in. We got all the cousins in. And then all of you all of those cousins who've had children, we're bringing them in. So we're bringing in the entire legacy of your grandmother. What is her name?
Pearline Althea Shorte.
Miss Pearline Althea Shorte. I love this. So this is a perfect segue into what we did, because I know you guys know that you're going to find out where your maternal ancestry was prior to the transatlantic slave trade. And we're all excited for that. Shout out to Zenobia, who wanted us to do it 20 minutes ago. But I want to make sure that you and everyone watching, because you're going to tell this to the cousins and they're going to be like, what's going on? So I want to make sure that you guys understand the science behind how this all works. So we know that we have Mama Pearlie. I'm going to start with Mama Pearlie and go a little bit backwards on this chart. So if we put Mama Pearlie as your grandmother on this chart, the yellow dots represent her maternal line. So each of you, your mother, then to Grandma Pearlie and her mother, and so on and so on. You all share the same mitochondrial DNA as her. And it has no influence from any of the other DNA that you've gotten from anybody else in your family tree. What you got from her in terms of mitochondrial DNA has been the same. It has not changed generation after generation after generation. It's been passed from mother to child, mother to child, mother to child. So you, all of you on the call with me, you got it from your mother, who got it from her mother, who got it from your grandmother. And then those, you all with children, have passed it to your children. And then your daughters are going to pass it to their children. So this little bit of DNA called mitochondrial DNA is what's defining the ancestry of your maternal line. And because it doesn't change, if we find, I'm not going in the right, you can show that slide, Wendy. I'm sorry, I'm not going in the right order. So that's the mitochondrial DNA, step one. The one on the left is the mitochondrial DNA. And then because it doesn't change, if we look at it for the past 500 to 2,000 years, it's going to have been the same. It didn't change. So then the next step is Anita collected her DNA with a swab. She sent it to us in confidential packaging. The people at our lab have no idea of her name, where she lived, nothing, not even whether she's male or female. No personally identifying information is accessible to people at the lab. And they unlocked the code of the mitochondrial DNA that we collected from your swab. That's where you see these letters. And Yvonna, you're on Law and Order SVU, so I've watched probably every Law and Order there is, and they're always talking about DNA and sequencing. So we sequenced Anita's mitochondrial DNA, and it would have been the same, exact same, whether you had given us your swabs, Yvonna, or you, Leonie, because you have the same mitochondrial DNA. Okay, I've made that point. Let me move on. So we unlocked the code, and it would look something like this series of letters, TACGGT. It's just a combination of letters. Then our scientific team, which is all Black geneticists, they took your code and looked for matches of your mitochondrial DNA code among a huge data set that has mitochondrial DNA codes from Africans all over the continent. That's the African Ancestry, the African Lineage database. We have the largest database, the largest collection of African genetic codes in the world. And remember, I told you it doesn't change over time. So if we find somebody in our database who has your same mitochondrial DNA, you have to share ancestry with them. So I'm going to take that down. Does that make sense?
Yes. Wow.
So I'm interested that so many, your grandmother had so many children, and then you got their 50 to 70 cousins, and that doesn't even include, that's just first cousins. That doesn't even include the second cousins and all. This is hundreds of people who are going to find out where they're from because Anita swabbed her mouth.
This is amazing. I can't wait.
Anita. Thank you, Anita.
Oh, they're asking if we have any guesses.
So that would be my next question.
So we were raised with the story of Papa Shorte, which is where we have our name Shorte, and he was said within our family storyline that he came from Nigeria, and he had a sister. And they dropped him off in St. Kitts and his sister off in Bermuda. Is that Bermuda? I think. Yes, Bermuda. And so I feel Nigeria. That's what I'm feeling. But I don't know. I don't know.
I can also add a little bit, because I also heard that my grandma, so Mama Pearline, her side actually have some Portuguese in them. That's what I've heard from my grandma, from Mama's side. So
that's right, because we're doing Mama's side. So
yes.
I don't know. I have no idea. I only know Papa Shorte.
Yes, I knew that story of Papa Shorte too. But yeah, so it would be interesting to see that, because I don't think we've heard just a tidbit of that story.
And so a couple of things. One, when we see European results coming into African families, which we see all the time, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there isn't a family whose ancestors were part of the transatlantic slave trade that does not have some European ancestry. We all do. But for most of us, that comes in through a man. And so I would venture to guess that the Portuguese that you guys learned about from your grandmother's side was because of a Portuguese man. I don't know. We'll see what the results say, because if it was a Portuguese woman, then what I revealed to you will be Portugal. If it was a Portuguese man, then that won't show up in these results. And then your sister Michelle had a question, which was, do Grandma Pearline's sons pass on the mitochondrial DNA? And the answer is no, because it's maternally inherited. It's only passed from mother to child, mother to child. So the daughters continue to pass it. However, her sons still share this ancestry, and her son's children still share this ancestry because she's their grandmother too. It's just not their maternal grandmother. Right. So
see. Okay. So Erica, who's on here, who is our cousin, she is our mom's brother's daughter. So if she took the test, hers would show up on her mother's side, right? Okay.
Exactly. But it's still part of Erica's ancestry because it comes from Erica's grandmother. Okay. All right. I'm just so honored, really. I'm just honored that you all have entrusted us with your DNA. We don't sell it. We don't share it. Our lab, the lab that we use, they destroy all the DNA once a result is determined. So we are hands down the only company that handles your genetic information with respect and integrity. That is an integral core value of African ancestry. And so I just really appreciate that you've given us the opportunity and that you're willing to share it with the world, because your cousins on here are definitely excited. We got people guessing all kinds of things. Somebody thinks you guys are Senegambians. Nicole Taylor, she's pushing for the Tikar people of Cameroon. I saw somebody said Mende. Those are your Sierra Leonean cousins who want you to be from Sierra Leone. We got the Tuareg people from Mali. We got people guess. A lot of people have guessed Nigeria. Somebody said Fulani. Somebody said Yoruba. So they're invested. Y'all get your flags ready to find out where these beautiful, beautiful descendants of Mama Pearline are from. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. You all share ancestry with people living in the most populous country in Africa today. That country is Nigeria. And it's the Hausa and the Yoruba.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have chills.
Anita, don't cry. Give me a hug.
We're sending you hugs, Anita. We're sending you hugs.
Yeah.
That's why.
Hausa and the Yoruba.
Yeah.
And the reason this is so powerful, everybody, is because she just told us that it was a Yoruba Orisha who she was drawn to from when she was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I asked what it was about it, and she was like, it was just her power.
Yes. Yeah. And wow, it's so interesting because, oh my gosh, I'm just blown away because in the story, I'm remembering now, they did tell us we were Igbo, but every Yoruba person that meets me, they say, oh no, you're Yoruba. Like, they're like, you're Yoruba. Like, they always know. And, but I don't know anything about the Hausa, so I'm very excited to learn. Wow.
Now is Hausa the tribe?
Okay. It is. So we found Matt. So remember, we took your code, you guys' code, and we looked for people in Africa who have the same code. And we found people in two groups that have the exact same code as you. One group of people is the Yoruba, and the other group of people is the Hausa. The Hausa are found in northern Nigeria, whereas the Yoruba are in southwestern Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. The Hausa people are like the money changers. They're the ones who you go to, when you're traveling to change money. And there's so much to learn about the different groups. And you might be wondering, how did we find two different groups for you? And so one of the ways I like to describe it is that the ethnic groups are social and cultural groups. They're not genetic. So it's not as if there's a Yoruba gene or a Hausa gene or an Igbo gene. No. So you can have people who belong to different groups who share the same genetics. Just like with a sorority. Doesn't happen that often, but sometimes there's two sisters will belong to two different sororities. You belong to different groups, but you are genetically related. Or religion, you belong to two different spiritual systems. That's probably the case in your family. I would think your entire family isn't practicing Yoruba, the Yoruba practice. And so you believe in different things, you have different values or different rituals that you follow, but you have the same genetics. So I hope that makes that clear.
I'm so happy right now. It definitely makes it clear. But I'm so happy. Just so much makes sense to me. And I'm really excited to learn more about the Hausa as well. And I am super excited because I'm actually working on my second book, which is another Yoruba Orisha. So I won't, Yvonne is saying shh, so I'm not going to tell everyone what it is, but, because I'm like, why am I so drawn? And they're pulling me, and now it makes so much sense.
It makes total sense.
Total sense.
Well, how are you two feeling, Leonie, Yvonne?
Oh my gosh, I'm feeling emotional too. I mean, it's one thing to sort of guess where we're from and hear, from the past, the stories that are passed down, and to actually know for sure 100%, just it kind of just solidifies who we are. You know what I mean? Like my grandmother, even though she was Methodist, she would, go to the ocean and pray to the ocean. And, Christians didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like she would go, if the ocean was rough, she would pray for change. And then, if she needed calm, she would go when the ocean was calm. And that's clearly the Orishas and the African ancestry, the African religion being passed down. So it just sort of solidifies, who we are, who I am. And I'm just so happy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's very exciting because, as Yvonna said, in terms of Mama, that's what we called her. And just knowing, just the whole entire family is very spiritual. Even with my mom, it's like she has that, that sixth sense, of like seeing things, and bringing things into fruition. And even as a community growing up in St. Kitts and Deep Bay, I don't even think the community understood my mom, my grandma. And I think there were times that they even made accusations because of how powerful, she was. And even though she was here helping one community, there were other people who still kind of did not recognize. And now that we are seeing and honing in, we heard it from their fathers, from, Papa Shorte and from Daddy, Nigeria, but we didn't even really understood it from that matriarch stance. And now it's just, being solidified a little bit more and, giving us the intention to just tap into what is actually, not being afraid of it. Even when I think about certain cousins, they too have that drawn, pulled with that spiritual aspect of it. And we just need to rest in it and receive it and claim it and live it and not be afraid of it. So that's all I have to say. It's really exciting. And I'm just so grateful for Anita for allowing me to be a part of this with her and Yvonna. And, I'm willing to learn with all of us, maybe even if having like a small group, that we can begin to learn about the Hassa part of our DNA and our, our makeup, and learning more about that would be wonderful. So even if us as cousins could come together to do that, and just having those small group discussion about it, and just, it would be wonderful.
I love that description. And you know what? Before I even say that, there's been so many people in the comments who have thanked you all for sharing it with them. I mean, I think that also makes it very special for us to be able to see. And I mean, I get to do it. I get to experience people's reveals, but for the entire family to be able to experience, I think is something very generous and very kind of the three of you to share with the world. And we were talking, when you were talking about your grandmother and other relatives who would go to the ocean, who would go to the water, as Yoruba culture was spread, during the transatlantic slave trade into different parts of the world, we weren't allowed to venerate our ancestors the way we wanted to. That was part of our identity theft. And so what you see is that with Candomblé and with Voodoo, they have couched their traditional spiritual belief, the traditional Yoruba, within under the cloak of Christianity, under the cloak of Catholicism. So it makes perfect sense to me that your grandmother could be a Methodist or whatever denomination you said that was, but she still had her traditional spiritual practice as well. That is something that is very much a core component of how the Yoruba culture flourished outside of the continent, outside of Nigeria. And we see it in Brazil, we see it in Cuba, we see it here in the US, we see it in the Caribbean. So it is definitely one of the most widely spread, widely practiced traditional African spiritual systems that you all are now, that you were already a part of through your cousin Anita, but now it's official.
Now we really a part of it. I have to say, there's no such thing as like a secret pregnancy in our family, because one of the aunties, specifically Leonie's mom, will know everything. She would just call us, okay, I dreamt of fish, either you're pregnant or someone else, and there's going to be 3. There's going to be 3. Like, okay. Wow. She knew. I didn't even tell her I was writing the book. She called me right before it got signed, and she was like, I just see all of these papers, hundreds and hundreds of papers. Something's happening with you. And I'm like, yes, there is something happening. So there is a lot of that energy. And I think someone was asking about these mermaid earrings that I have on. So our other sister, Michelle, made these at Mihalina Jewels, and I have their Yemaya earrings. So
will you type that?
You know what? For some
type, can one of you all type her?
So I think actually Michelle did.
Oh, she did.
Our other sister is on, and she typed
it.
What it was, mihalinajewels.etsy.com.
Oh, there it is.
So it's in the chat. Yeah,
we have it up on the screen.
Awesome.
Now, I was gonna ask, what legacy do you ladies want to leave? I feel like you're a representation of your grandmother's legacy, but is there anything you'd like to add as we are celebrating phenomenal Black women this month in terms of the legacy that you'd like to see your family perhaps leave? You want to go, Anita?
No, I'll go last.
Okay, so our grandmother, Mama, she not only was, she basically, like Leonie said, helped anyone that needed help. And she also was a merchant. So she would basically sell, whatever it is she could sell to feed her 13 children. And sometimes, our mother would say, like, they wouldn't have any relish, which means like any meat for the day, but they would still have the vegetables, and in any case, like, our grandmother would try to sell enough just to feed her 13 children. And so I feel like our legacy is serving, right, serving the population, and also, being a merchant, like selling, our wares, selling whatever it is that we have that that can help the community and help ourselves at the same time. So Mama is definitely with us and has traveled through our lineage, and we salute her and every other strong Black woman during this month. So
Nice.
All right. I think for me, in terms of, that legacy, I feel it's that spirit of entrepreneurship. As Yvonna said, Mama was it. And actually, that was passed down to my own mom as well. Because I remember, again, in St. Kitts, my mom would bake and have her baked goods. She would go from community to sell. And that's what I remember. And I think whether we want to believe it or not, it's ingrained in all of us. Even Erica does, who's on the line today, also is an entrepreneur. She's makes these beautiful toasters, coasters, and different facets from, a plastic material. I think we all have that spirit of entrepreneurship. And I think if we leave that legacy of love, family, togetherness, spirituality, all these are great mantle to pass down to the next generation. And also that spirit of that financial piece as well, making sure that we are planning, that we are not, and we're teaching each other. So we're not hoarding that information. So even through the books that Anita are writing, we are leaving that legacy as well. And making sure that we are kept and making sure that we're sound. And I think also in the processes, whether if it's with books, keeping their memory alive. And that's why I made the decision to name my travel business. I'm an independent travel agent, a legitimate 1099 business. And I decided to name it Pearline Travel. And it's after my grandma, my mom, my grandma Pearline, and my dad Lynn. So combined their name because I want that legacy. And I'm hoping that one day I can will this business to my daughter as well. So even when I'm long gone, Pearline Travel will always be here.
Nice. This is beautiful. And you, Anita?
These are amazing. I'm like, all that and so one of my friends who is Yoruba, she had told me, she was like, it is the women who go to the marketplace and who are entrepreneurs and do the business within the Yoruba people. And for me, I definitely have more of a block to that part of myself, which is interesting. I have, I'm very connected to the storyteller, the feeling and all of that. And I've been, for some reason, just always like, I'm always put in these places to, either attract the funds and the money. And, I'm really good at it. But then I'm always like, oh no, like I don't like doing that. And so I am claiming it now as as a Yoruba Hausa woman that I am an entrepreneur and that, money flows in easily and flows out easily, all in a beautiful way. And I feel like my legacy is the storytelling and remembering what was erased for so many people who are the daughters and sons of the diaspora, and connecting us back with the motherland.
You all give it up in the comments for the Mama Pearline's granddaughters, please. I want to see some hearts in the comments for Mama Pearline, because if
Thank you, Mama.
We wouldn't be here talking to them, and we wouldn't be talking about this, and they wouldn't be Yoruba and Hausa women. So I want to see some hearts in the comments from Mama Pearline as we get ready. So ladies, we have a game that we play every week called Fact or Whack. And this is where we put up a statement, and then the audience has to tell us whether they think it's a fact, or if it's just a whack-ass statement. but that's my extra part. It just says whack. I added the rest. So would you play with us?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there are three of you, and we have three statements. So maybe if we could just have each of you read one of the statements. But we'll start with you, Leonie. We'll go Leonie, then Yvonna, and then Anita. Okay. So all you need to do is read the statement, and then you can say whether you think it's fact or whack, but they're going to say in the comments fact or whack. All right, let's go.
The African Ancestry test will identify your African lineage 100% of the time.
Fact
or whack.
Hey.
You can put that in the chat.
So will an African ancestry test identify your African lineage 100% of the time?
I think so, yes.
You think so? Leonie says fact.
Fact.
What say you, everyone else? I'm seeing a lot of wax. Leonie, you guys start watching African Ancestry Experience.
I'm wrong.
No, I don't know. Della has. Oh, so we got some facts. So there's some people on.
All right. So some people may align with me on that. Thank you.
Okay. What do you think, Yvonna? Fact or whack?
Yeah, I'm going with my sister Michelle, who says I don't think anything is 100%.
That's true, right? There's always a little nugget for Chaz, right? So yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. I feel the same way, especially since we're dealing with science and whack. Yeah.
Exactly.
But the reason it's not 100% is because none of us is 100% African. Remember, I said that as people of the diaspora, inherent in that was all this mixing. And so we don't know if it's going to be African or not. When we trace the maternal line, like you ladies did tonight, 92% of the time, the results come back African. So 92 out of 100 people are going to get an African result. But if we were to do the paternal line, father to father to father, 65% of the time it comes back African, which means 35% of the time that joker comes back European, not African. So that's why that was a whack statement.
Ours would definitely be European because our dad is Polish.
There you go.
So,
okay.
Know that.
Yvonne's turn.
Okay. Here we go. Having European ancestry means you're not African. That is definitely whack.
Her vote is whack. What say you guys? Fact or whack? If you have European ancestry, does that mean that you're not African? Yeah, that's a quick one. That's an easy one. I gave you the easy one, Yvonna.
You did give me the easy one.
Whack. Whackity whack.
Nicole says guacamole.
Shout out to Nicole Taylor. Okay, yes. Excellent, everyone in the comments. You guys are doing really good here. So our last statement will be Anita.
Everyone has a mitochondrial DNA, but men do not pass it to their children. So that's what we just learned. So I would say my guess is fact.
Fact. Okay, we got some next. What say the rest of you? Do men pass mitochondrial DNA on to their children? Exactly. Okay, I see some. Yeah, they don't. Exactly. So you're right. It's a fact. Men do not pass it on to their children. Their children get it from their mothers. Oh my goodness. This is the first time we played Fact or Whack with 3 guests. Thank you. You guys are just coming in and breaking all sorts of barriers. We got 50 to 70 cousins. We got you written a book about your ancestry and you didn't know it. This has been a wonderful, wonderful experience for me. I thank you so much for being here with us again, everybody. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here to support our new African Ancestry family members. I said it at the top, but it didn't mean anything to you all because you didn't have your results yet, but we have an online community on Facebook. It's called the African Ancestry Online Community. And that's a community of about 8,000 people now who have taken our test, and you can go in there. You have to register. Membership has its privileges. Not just anybody can go in there, but they're sharing resources. Shout out to Darnell Clayton, who's on, Plachette, Avanti. Some of them are people who are very active in the online community. They're sharing resources and information. So you can go online now, Anita, and access your results, and you'll be able to share the information with your family. And if some of you guys want to go into the online community, you can go in with Anita. So I want to make sure that everybody knows about that. And then don't forget that we have a blog. We have a really good blog. Shout out to Sharice Kimbrough, who's part of the family, who has written a blog over at africanancestry.com/Black women. You can take the Find Your Tribe quiz to see which ethnic group you have most in common with, if you haven't decided to take the test. But I'm always going to be the one to encourage you to take the test, because as you see here, one test can yield results for over 100 people. We have evidence of that here in this family with us today. Shout out to Mama Pearline. And then you can always catch past episodes of the African Ancestry Experience on YouTube. So if you're watching us on the replay, put the Nigeria emoji in the comments to show Anita and Yvonna and Leonie some love. Ladies, we're going to be back here on Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday, and we're going to be this time while the two of you sisters are in Mexico helping women heal, helping Black women heal. We'll be talking to her name is Mahogany Brown. Mahogany L. Brown. She's a poet, and she's the founder of the Black Girl Magic Ball. So maybe when you come back from Mexico, you can check that out on the replay. I can't say it enough. Thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight. It has been quite a pleasure and, of course, an honor to have you.
It has been such a gift in so many ways. So thank you so much for doing this for us and for doing it for everyone.
As I tell everyone, we are, as we leave you, I want you to still continue to be smart and still continue to be protected. We're still in a pandemic. So just, I know people are antsy and itching and ready to live life the way they used to. And you can live life. Just please do it safely. And until we meet again, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be whole. Have a very good night, everyone.
I wanna know ya, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya, Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia.